September 27th, 2018. From El Cajon, California, this is episode 164 of You Can Bet on That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet on That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. My name is Mark Duvall, and sitting across from me is Dr. Mike.
Hello.
So, as promised, Dr. Mike, last week or 2 weeks ago, you ran over to the roulette wheel in between craps rolls to bet on 22 like Julie Haggerty's character did in the movie clip from our last episode. You said you were going to do it?
Yeah, I did it.
You did it in between rolls. How'd that go?
Well, it didn't go good on 22. I did win once.
Okay. You started betting other numbers?
Yeah, I started betting other numbers. I had $15 on 15 at one point because I believe that was the 14th we were there.
Yes, Friday night the 14th.
Right, and my wife's birthday was the next day, the 15th.
Oh, okay, good.
So I bet on the 15th and it hit.
Nice.
For $15.
Good.
So that was like a, $405 payout.
So did you come out a winner then on roulette for that
Yeah, I came out on a winner on roulette. Craps killed us, but roulette I won at.
That's good. Well, when you were doing it, I tweeted out about it, and we got a response from Keith Lyle. He said, they're letting him bet on two different tables at the same time? That's a huge no-no in Vegas. Now, Keith is a comic who is based in Vegas. You can check him out at funnykeithlyle.com. And he's been interviewed on several Vegas-based podcasts. Some of our friends have had him on the show. He was even in the original The Hangover movie, playing a casino dealer. And in fact, he used to be a casino dealer. So that's why he was responding to, you playing at the two tables.
Uh-huh.
So I reached out to him to try to find out the specifics of, why can't you play two tables at the same time? And he said, I know that we were told from dealer school on that it's not allowed. If there was a decision on roulette and missed a payoff or bet on craps, there could be I never got paid, or why did I lose, or someone else might claim the bet.
Yeah, I could see that in roulette.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of people.
There's so much going on, especially if you were not using roulette chips, right? You were just using. I was using regular $5 chips, right? Yeah. Yep. So that's understandable. Kyle suggested I call the Nevada Gaming Control Board to see if there was a specific regulation against it, because I'm thinking, is it really a law? Because I couldn't find it anywhere online. So I called, and I eventually got in touch with an agent who was based in Las Vegas. Very nice guy named Mike. He said that there's no gaming regulation against a player playing two table games at once. In fact, when I first asked him about it, he said something along the lines of, oh, yeah, I've seen people doing that before. And I'm thinking, okay, this is a gaming control board agent saying, oh, yeah, I've seen that. Okay, well, it must not be a problem. He went on to say that if it weren't allowed in a specific casino, it would be based on that casino's house rules. And I can certainly understand that.
Yeah, I could see them making a rule to avoid confusion.
Yeah, exactly, right. Because you're not standing there the whole time. Hey, that's my bet. Well, how do you know? You've been away from the table for 2 minutes.
Yeah. Well, you know what? So you make some bets and you go to the bathroom at craps.
Yeah, that is true.
And you come back. Yeah. People do it all the time, right?
That is true.
You make your fire bet and then you go to the bathroom. What's the difference?
I guess, kind of like you were saying, it would be more of a problem on roulette, because at a craps table, typically the bets are set up according to where you're standing at the table.
Right.
So, a new dealer, anybody could come up and look and say, oh, okay, that's Dr. Mike's bet or that's Mark's bet. Right. Whereas at the roulette table, they pretty much rely on the different colored chips.
Right. And if people stack up on the same number, you could have 8 or 9 different colors on a number. Right?
Yeah, right.
And if people are betting real, $5 chips or $25 chips, well, if I had a 5 and somebody else had a 5,
yeah, whose is whose?
Whose is
yeah,
whose?
Right.
And who put the 5 and who put the 10? If there's $15 out there,
they didn't give you a problem for doing it at
No,
Harris,
they didn't give me a problem at all. They encouraged it.
Yeah, I know. Everybody was getting a big kick out of it. Where's Mike going? And
well, when it started off, I started playing right when the table opened, the roulette table opened.
That's right. Oh yeah.
So
in fact, we were waiting.
Me.
That's right. Okay, so you were the only one.
So it was the only one, and the dealer was kind of bored. She got a kick out of it because she got something to do. And when I would run back to the craps table to do something or whatever, she would pull the card.
Yeah, it's card-based. Again, our roulette here is card-based. Yes.
She'd pull the card and she'd hold it up in the air and
yeah, so you could see it from the craps table.
It was 13. 13 came up a lot.
Yeah, you should have jumped on that.
I should have jumped right on 13. 13 and 31. It's so funny. And even she's like, wow, 13 and 31 keep coming up.
There's got to be a reason for that.
Yeah, who knows?
Next time.
Well, it wasn't one of the dealers, one of the craps dealers saying that some people spin the wheel same.
So
they have the same exact rhythm or whatever. So
right, they the same amount.
So numbers come up more frequently than other numbers.
But the thing is, again, this is roulette with cards, and they set up the cards are randomly assigned to all the slots on this wheel.
At the beginning.
At the beginning of a shift.
But they don't change.
No, they don't change. But for a dealer to know where every single card was and spin it.
No, it's not that she knows. It's just that she might spin it the same and the same number might come up again.
Oh, I see what you're saying, to get repeaters.
Yeah, not that she's trying to do that. Yeah. It's just that it happens. So think about this. In a regular roulette wheel, there's a ball.
Yes.
And when that ball, you spin it. And maybe you could spin at the same speed every time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You do it enough, you just it's the same speed. But when it falls into the
slots there.
Into the slots, it bounces.
Well, they hit all those. They have bumpers in there, right, to make it random,
and
right?
It takes weird bounces and can end up in different places. Yeah. So even if you spun the ball the same way, that doesn't mean that it's going to come in the same number.
No, it might come within a group of numbers.
It might come within a group, but it probably is not as accurate as this card thing, because that's a little like the big wheel.
Yeah, it's like a big 6-wheel, but on its side.
On its side.
Right, so it's got a little ticker.
Tick, 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 tick. And the speed that you spin it ends the same. There's no ball that bounces around.
Yeah, that's true.
And randomly bounces.
Yeah.
So you can get where somebody some number can come up more frequently than other numbers based on how they spin it.
Yeah.
So what they should have them do, the casino was actually thinking about this.
Yes.
They should... So let's say it ended up and 31 came up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then the wheel should just give a little spin or something beforehand, stop it, just randomly stop it.
So the dealer can't really see where the spot was.
Can't tell where the and then when it's all the bets are placed, spin it again.
Yeah, a dealer who was intent on cheating could probably get around that too.
I'm not saying that they cheat. Well, but I'm just saying that, as a player, you could say, okay, well, 13 and 31 keep coming up a lot because of the rhythm that she spins it.
And you're watching the dealer. I see what you're saying. So it's not an inside job so much as just a dealer who, without thinking about it, just spins it at the same speed.
Spins it at the same speed. Or the casino should tell the dealers, look, try and vary your speed.
Yeah.
Sometimes give it a real...
And maybe they do tell him that. I don't know. Although the dealer we were talking to, it didn't sound like they were doing it.
No, because he was saying that, some of the dealers are so accurate. They spin it the exact same way every time. Yeah. And so you get a lot of repeated numbers.
Okay. Well, I guess I got to start tracking roulette now. Card-based roulette. Thanks, Dr. Mike.
Card-based roulette. You should look into that.
Just spend a whole day. Yeah, I didn't find any patterns.
I bet you might.
All right. Well, it's something to think about because, like they said, they only change the cards once a shift.
This is a real advantage move. I think you should look into this. It might be.
All right. I'll erase all this that we talked about so nobody tries to get a jump on us here.
Okay, very good.
Well, there's been a lot of talk lately about how William Hill, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, sports book in the world, has been banning winning players simply because they win, which just I don't know. It's such bad PR. And how much are they really losing? Aren't they still beating the losing players? Aren't they trying to make the lines so that this doesn't happen? So what if people are winning?
I'm all for this. I think there should be more things in life like this, like bad drivers. If you're consistently a bad driver, they should ban you from driving.
Yeah, but see, here they're banning good drivers.
Yeah, well, I know. That too. I mean, if for some reason you don't want a lot of good drivers, then you should, ban good drivers. Right. I mean, there's a lot of things we should ban.
There's a lot of things we should ban, Dr. Mike. I'll agree with you there. Well, here's a good story. Here's a story about a bookmaker doing the right thing. This happened in New Jersey, where, of course, now they have legal sports wagering. Back on Sunday, September the 16th, the Broncos were playing the Raiders at home in Denver. And one of the nice things about electronic sports wagering is that it allows for placing wagers while a game is in progress. So you can make bets along the way.
Right.
So with about a minute left in the game, the Broncos are down by 2 points. They're losing 19-17, but they're driving down the field. Well, FanDuel updated their odds on the Broncos winning the game. You could make that bet right there with about a minute left. They updated the odds on that bet. What they intended to update the odds to was 1-6 that the Broncos would win, meaning you'd have to lay $600 to win $100, right? Because they're thinking they're actually likely to win at this point. They're moving down.
All they needed was a field goal.
All they needed was a field goal. Right, exactly. Well, instead of posting odds at 1-6, for 18 seconds, the odds were incorrectly posted at 750-1.
Oh, nice. That's worth putting a few bucks on.
I think so. Well, 12 people were able to get down bets at the 750-1 payout, including a man named Anthony Prince, who put down $110. Well, the Broncos did end up kicking a field goal and winning the game 20-19. Now, initially, FanDuel refused to pay, claiming that the odds were clearly a mistake, which they were. And there have been plenty of cases like that where sportsbooks have refused to pay wagers made against lines that were clearly huge mistakes. And you know, the gaming control boards have gone along with them in some cases when it's just so ridiculous. But finally, FanDuel came around and agreed to pay all 12 players at the 750-1 odds, including Anthony Prince, who's going to get $82,500. I think it's a smart PR move on FanDuel's part, because really, how much money is that to them? Look at all the advertising there. This is kind of a cheap, good PR move.
It's probably not the cost of one advertisement.
Exactly right. Yeah, during football.
130-second ad is probably way more than that on a network.
Yeah. So, it's too bad that they didn't just initially say, okay, we're going to pay. I can understand that, I guess. But, if they'd done it initially, it would have been great. But anyway.
Yeah, well, it's, once again, clearly a huge mistake.
Yes.
So what's your definition of clearly? What's your definition of huge? And what's your definition of mistake?
All right. Well,
and what's your definition of is while we're at it?
I can't,
because if you can come up with different definitions of all those things, I mean, I'm a little confused.
I can't tell you where the line is.
Yeah.
But when a team is driving and all they need is a field goal to win and time will run out, and you're offering 750-1 odds,
well, maybe they have a crappy kicker. I mean, it's the NFL, right? Remember when the NFL, when kickers made like 55-yarders?
Oh, it's like an epidemic now.
Now they can't make 20-yarders. You have to go to college football where they can make 40 and 50-yarders. Yes. But once they get in the pros, no, they can't even make a 20-yarder. And I heard an announcer, and I don't know what game I was watching. He tried to justify it. Why so many kickers are missing like 30-yard field goals. It's the pressure, he said.
In the NFL. And why is the pressure more now than in previous seasons?
I don't know. But he said it's the increased amount of pressure. Okay. There's a lot of pressure on them to make it. That's all they do. They come into their whole job. Some of those guys.
That's all their job.
Some of those guys are paid millions of dollars. Not every kicker gets millions, but some of them do get millions. And all they have to do is go into game and kick a football a few times a game.
Right.
If you add up the amount of hours they actually work during game situations, they're making a pretty good rate.
Yeah, and a lot of the place kickers are not the punters either, right? They usually have two different ones, right?
Two different. This is all they do is kick those. They may do some kickoffs and they do some field goals, but it's the pressure now. Okay. All of a sudden, there's lots of pressure on kickers.
All right. Well, you called me out on it. I guess I'm going to have to disagree. I don't know that 750-1 was clearly a huge mistake.
Right.
All right. Okay. You got me. Way back on episode 75, we had a short discussion about how in North Dakota, they have what's called charitable gambling that allows bars to offer blackjack as long as the proceeds go to a charity. So they can actually deal real blackjack that you can play. The limits are low, very low. We had heard a minimum of $1 and a maximum of $25. But as far as the player's concerned, this is real blackjack.
Right.
Well, we got an email from listener Connor who said that they also are allowed to offer some other games. One of them is pull tabs, which are basically like scratch off lottery tickets in that the winning amounts are all predetermined. We've seen those, but the old tribal casinos used to have. It's just like a little lottery. Another game Connor mentioned was Pig Wheel. Now, when I saw that in the email, I thought, well, that must be a typo. He probably meant to write Big Wheel, like the Big Six Wheel. But then later in the email, he wrote Pig Wheel again. Well, sure enough, in North Dakota, they offered this game called Pig Wheel. And it's kind of like roulette. That's the closest thing it is, except that instead of zeros on the wheel, there are pictures of pigs.
So there's 1 pig and a 2 pig?
No, there are actually 5 pigs. On a typical pig wheel, there are 5 pigs.
Oh, this is a standard pig wheel.
I'm talking about the standard pig wheel, right?
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. It's not one of these goofy pig wheels.
No. This is like a standard one. There are 40 numbers on the wheel, and then there are also 5 pigs evenly distributed around the wheel. And they spin it like a big 6-wheel.
Any particular kind of pig?
There are 5 pigs. There's 1 white pig.
Okay.
2 blue pigs and 2 pink pigs.
All right.
So you can bet on what color the pig is going to be, or you can also bet specifically which pig is going to come up. They all have names.
Oh, so there's genders to them.
Yes.
I thought maybe there'd be different kinds of pigs, like a potbelly pig.
Oh, like a different species and that kind of thing.
Razorback, hog.
No. Like in this example here, there's Joe, Bob, Rox, Sue.
I hope they're gender equal. I mean, I hope there's not, they don't favor one gender over the other.
Well, they pay the same, if that's what you're getting at.
Yeah, right. Okay. I just didn't want the female pig to pay less.
No.
Okay.
So you bet on and if you look at the layout, it's very similar to a roulette wheel: 40 numbers and then 5 pigs. And there you go. It's like the
pig wheel.
North Dakota. Yeah, pig wheel.
I wonder if the dealers, whoever deals this, is they spin a ball or is this?
No. It's like the big 6-wheel,
it's
right?
Like the big 6-wheel. So if they can do that perfectly, maybe they could land on Joe the blue pig every time.
Exactly, right?
Wow.
Guy, how come everybody's betting on Joe? Yeah, I don't know. He keeps coming up.
Boy, this is another advantage play for us.
I guess so, although you're taking money from a charity in this case.
People are, what?
That's right. Sorry, Feed the Homeless. You owe us $50,000.
Oh, pig wheel.
Yeah, pig wheel.
Yeah.
There you go. I think that's got to be the name of the show.
I wonder who thought of that.
I was looking at it. I don't think it's that old a game. I think it was created in the 90s.
Yeah, so I mean, but who decided, pig wheel? He didn't, be antelope wheel or armadillo wheel.
Well, maybe somebody said, yeah, we need a big wheel on this. And he actually said big wheel, but the guy who was supposed to put a pig wheel, well, I guess I'll come up with something.
Yeah, there's always somebody out there looking to help a charity.
Yep, that's it. Hey, thanks to everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Remember, whenever you're going to buy something through Amazon, please go to our page first, youcanbetonthat.com, and click through our Amazon link towards the top of the page. All right, let's move on to our voicemail hotline segment. Remember, call our hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS.
9512-WAGERS.
And maybe we'll play your clip on the show. First up is Alton.
Hello, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Alton calling from North Carolina. I wanted to give you a trip report from last weekend. My wife and I spent the weekend at the Venetian in Las Vegas. It was our first time at the Venetian. We typically stay at Caesars properties, but this trip we were meeting up with a couple of good friends who booked rooms for all of us at the Venetian. And I will tell you, we found the accommodations there to be first rate and had a wonderful time. We played quite a bit of craps while we were there. And during the weekend, most of the tables were a $15 minimum and had what are, I guess you would consider the typical strip rules, 3, 4, 5 times odds. The field bet did pay 3 times on the 12, and for buy bets on the 4 and 10, they only collected the VIG on winning bets. As far as feature bets are concerned, I only saw the repeater bet on tables there. Now, my favorite thing about the casino was that they had a pit of table games right outside the sports book. So you could shoot dice and watch sports at the same time. So it's pretty fantastic. We got in Friday night, played a little bit, went to bed, and I got up early Saturday morning, went and placed some bets on the college games, and then started shooting dice around 9 a.m., when the college games were getting started. I tell you, they had a great crew there, very professional, a lot of fun, and we had some really great rolls that morning. There's one guy in particular just kept hitting 4s and 10s, and I was pressing my buy bets up. Unfortunately, I never got to anywhere close to the 5,000 that you guys hit at Caesars that time, but definitely had a very, very profitable morning. Actually ended up cashing out with about 4 times my buy-in. So that was a great start to the weekend. Now, of course, I slowly bled most of that profit away the rest of the weekend, but had a great time doing it. So all in all, I think we will still typically stay at CET properties because of the comps. But overall, we really liked the Venetian. Probably the only negative thing I have to say about it is the prevalence of 6-5 blackjack. But hey, that's unfortunately what we're seeing more and more of on the Strip. But if you like to shoot dice and bet on sports, it's a great property. Well, thanks a lot, and keep up the good work, guys.
Yeah, we have enjoyed playing at Venetian in the past.
I like the dice pit at Venetian.
I do too. I like
They've
the way
got a
it's
lot
set
of
up.
tables,
Yeah.
and it's set up. It's right next to the cashier,
and
which I love.
We stayed there a few times. Sherry and I stayed there once too. We really enjoyed it. I do want to say, I think on an older episode, we said we were going to start boycotting it because Sheldon Adelson was fighting online gambling.
Right.
And it's like, oh, come on. He just wants all the business for himself, right? He's being a hypocrite. So we said we weren't going to go back there. It's been a while since I've been there. I think you've been there fairly recently, but maybe with your wife. But
I went with my wife for just a few minutes.
Yeah. But I like the way it's set up. I like the atmosphere, and it's very comfortable. I don't feel crowded there. That's a big part of it. Yeah. All right. Next up, Eric Rosenthal.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. It's Eric from New Jersey, otherwise known as the Eric that is not Eric Anderson.
Yeah.
Want to talk to you about odds on the dark side. I'm hoping you can explain to me the errors of my way. So here's the deal. I've got a couple of buddies that like to play the dark side, and as long as there's nobody else from our group on the pass line, I will join them. I'm not a fan of laying odds, specifically for don't pass or don't come bets. Other types of bets I'll lay odds all the time, but this doesn't make sense to me. At the time that you're laying odds on the don't, you're already past the 7 or 11, and you're not affecting the house edge at all. But you are greatly affecting the variance and your own personal risk of ruin. So I catch a little bit of heat for not laying odds, and I'm looking to my gurus to explain to me what I'm missing, because it doesn't look like a winning bet. It looks like you're just putting more money down in a coin flip situation, which has no advantage. And unless your bankroll can support all the extra money that you're laying out there, not entirely sure it's a good idea. In general, I'm buying in for 500 to 1,000, and we're probably at a $25 table. So I can certainly play a long time with just the don't pass at the DC and, just be good with it. But once odds get entered into it, that could make for a real short night, and that's not very appealing to me. Let me know what you think. Look forward to learning from you. Love the show. Take care.
This is typically called the Lorenzo dilemma.
We have talked about it before, right? The Lorenzo dilemma. Yeah, exactly. We'll get to Mike here. I'm going to say the most controversial thing I've ever said on this show. All right, you ready?
I can't do that, but you go ahead.
All right, here we go. It doesn't matter whether or not you take odds.
Yeah, it's not that controversial.
Matter. Okay. Now, you'll hear a lot of people, we've said this before, it's the best bet in the casino, right? No house advantage. So it's the best bet in the casino. Sometimes you'll hear that when you take or lay odds, the house edge is reduced. Well, that's true if you're talking about the overall amount you're wagering. But keep in mind that you've increased your bet by taking odds.
Right.
You're betting more now. The house edge has gone down, yes, but the amount you're wagering has gone up.
I think that's Eric's point.
Exactly. As a result, your expected value, which is different from the house edge, your expected value hasn't changed. And let me give you an example. Let's say you've got $50 on the don't pass. Now, the house edge on the don't pass is around 1.4%. So in the long run, you'll lose about 70 cents every time you bet $50 on the don't pass. That's without laying odds. Now, let's say you plan on laying 500 odds every time a point is established. So when you have a point, you've now got $550 at risk. The house edge on your entire bet has gone down to less than 0.5%.
Because the odds.
Right, because the odds.
Right.
But you're betting more. So what's your expected value in the long run? It's negative 70 cents. Exactly the same.
Right.
Right. So it doesn't matter whether or not you take odds. Now,
in the long run.
In the long run. That is a good point, because in the short run, yes, it does affect your variance quite a bit. And that's kind of what Eric was saying, because when you take odds, you're simply putting more money at risk. Right. So of course, you're more likely to have big wins, but you're also more likely to have big losses.
Exactly.
Right? And your bankroll might not be able to handle it.
Right.
So Eric is right about taking odds on the don't. But here's the thing. Everything that I've just said about laying odds on the don't pass and the don't come also applies to taking odds on the pass and the come. It doesn't matter in the long run whether or not you take odds. Your expected value is the same. If you do take odds, your variance goes up. What we do say is that if you've got a choice between betting $50 on the don't pass and not taking odds, or betting $5 on the don't pass and taking odds, which in both cases will result in you risking about the same amount of money, right? $50 just on the don't pass, or $5 on the don't pass with, say, $50 odds. It's roughly the same. Definitely bet the $5 on the don't pass and take odds, because your expected value will be negative 7 cents instead of negative 70 cents.
And the reason for that would be on the come out, you're only going to lose 5 when 7 and 11 come up versus 50.
Mm-hmm, exactly. And
that's the difference.
It really is ignoring the come out roll. No, you can't ignore you can't ignore
that. That's too big
a big part of it. Yeah. And again, the same thing applies to the pass line in come bets. Right. So there you go. And if you don't like laying odds, fine. Yeah, it won't matter in the long run.
Right. Yeah, it's the Lorenzo dilemma, because Lorenzo was always telling you, don't take odds, just bet more.
Bet more just on the don't pass, right? And then if, 2, 3, or 12, or 2 or 3, not 12. But then once you've established a point, you got more money. It's going to pay even money instead of the odds. Well, getting past that come out roll, you can't just...
It's hard to get past that.
Yeah, that's it too. Hey, if you haven't already, go back and listen to the 2-part episode of Gambling with an Edge with Eric Rosenthal. He talks about taking advantage of the big loss rebate Revel had before they closed. And he talks about a lot of ways to maximize casino and airline rewards. It's really good. It's a 2-part episode, so go listen to that if you haven't done that yet. Yeah,
that was a good question. And I still think a lot of people would be confused by it, because it's not...
It's counterintuitive.
It's exactly. That's exactly what
laying odds on the don't.
It's counterintuitive, and people have a hard time wrapping their head around stuff like that.
And it won't be the last time we get this question, because it is. It's a hard concept to get around, but it doesn't matter. So if you don't like doing it, then don't do it.
Don't do it. Like most of my life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So let's keep talking about the don't, this time from Tim Lawson.
Hey guys, Tim Lawson here from The Better Life. I listened to your episode from a few years back on playing the don't side, and of course, a lot of us don't players agree that to be a nice player, you don't cheer or you don't celebrate any winnings. What I'm curious of, and forgive me if you've talked about this in an episode that I haven't heard yet, but what I'm curious is, what are your thoughts on if you're shooting from the don't? Are you allowed to celebrate a win as the shooter? Curious your thoughts. Thanks.
So he says,
if you're shooting from the don't,
yes,
you're an idiot right up front. Okay?
Right.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, sorry, Tim. What if he's alone at the table?
Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Right. Or so if you're alone at the table or everybody's betting the don't.
Right.
It's okay to shoot from the don't.
Well, yeah, because somebody has to shoot, right?
Right. That's right. Yes.
But if you're the one don't player and the dice are passed to you, why not just pass them?
That would be my first thing. But his question is, if you are shooting from the don't, and I agree, I don't like doing it. I never do either for that same reason.
Because there's too many bad scenarios.
Yeah.
Right? There's a few good ones, but there's way more bad ones.
Well, we talked about that guy at Mirage that we were playing with who was shooting from the don't. He was the hottest shooter all day.
Right. He's just killing. So then he feels like crap.
Right. Yeah. Right. And we're all whooping it up.
Right.
Well, okay. So Tim said, is he allowed to celebrate? And I think what he's asking is, what's the etiquette? No, I think if you're shooting from the don't, it doesn't matter. If it's still a table of pass line players and you happen to be shooting from the don't.
Depends on what you mean by celebrate, how you define celebrate. I mean, if you jump up and scream and run around the table, that's a little excessive. But if you just give a smile or say, okay, that's fine.
Well, I think
just like we do when we're shooting. and we make our point, and we just look at the don't guy and tell him, get the hell out of here,
All right, I guess. Now, my personal belief, and this is just etiquette, is if you're shooting from the don't, you should behave just as you do any other time you're betting the don't.
Right.
And that is don't celebrate, don't even acknowledge it.
Yeah, that's probably good policy.
I think so. But are you allowed to? Sure, you're allowed to.
Yeah, you're allowed to do a lot of things.
That's
really.
right. Yeah.
You can even bet on 2 tables at once.
And one thing, too, about shooting from the don't and celebrating the don't is you're going to get some dealers that don't like you.
Right.
They should treat all their customers the same, but in reality, don't players get treated poorly often.
Yeah, right.
And just be aware of that. It's not right. They shouldn't be doing it, but it happens. And
it's just a mindset.
Yeah, I agree. It's stupid, but
yeah. I mean, if 4 of us went up to a table,
yeah,
and there was nobody else there, and we opened the table and we all bet the don't, one of us is going to have to roll, and we'll be celebrating when we win.
Yeah.
It's just,
I think a dealer who is just anti-don't would not have as much of a problem with that as a single don't player at a table.
It's just hard when there's, everyone on the table betting the pass line, and there's the one don't guy, and if he goes off celebrating when the 7 comes, or remember a few weeks ago out at RingCon, there was a guy who was actually saying stuff like, come on 7, come on 7.
Right.
And I mean, really?
He was trying to get a rise out of everybody. Yeah. That was his whole point.
He was trying to get under everyone's skin, and he was doing a good job with me.
Yeah, that's true. Yep, because the dice were cold.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, let's hear from Tyler and Tim.
Hey, Mike and Not a Dr. Mark. This is Tyler from Minnesota, sitting here next to my dad, Tim. Hello. We're actually really excited to be calling. We're actually on our first trip ever to play craps. Once again, we're from Minnesota. They don't have it, like the terrible state it is. But it's in northwest Iowa, Grand Falls Casino. We called there earlier this week to ask what the stakes were, and during the week it's a $1 table with up to 10 times odds until Friday night at 5 o'clock, where it turns to a $5 table with 10 times odds. So we're going to employ a little bit of Mark tactics and Dr. Mike tactics, and we will be giving you a full trip report, win, lose, or draw here in a couple of hours. So hopefully we come back and give you some good news.
Yeah, that sounds great to me. I'm excited. My belly button's been puckering and unpuckering all day.
Well, I don't know about that. All right, thanks, guys.
I have that problem every day.
Yeah, thank you. Well, we're going to hear from them later, see how they did.
Well, I'll tell you, they got bigger problems than craps.
What's that?
Their Minnesota Vikings let us down this last week.
This was terrible.
I got a big problem with Minnesota Vikings.
Oh, my gosh. 16-point favorites. How often do you see a 16-point spread? That was rough.
And got crushed.
I know, really. Well, we started watching the game. I was texting you. I said, what's going on with the Vikings? And you said, they'll kind of calm down. It'll change.
Down.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, that was something else.
27-6.
Mm-hmm. And it was almost 27-0.
Yeah. And
they were getting shut out for
and
most of it.
It's at home. It's in Minnesota.
I know, it's at home, too.
It's against Buffalo, who I guarantee you Buffalo doesn't have 5 wins the whole season. They're not a good team.
That's something else. All right. Next up is Logan.
This is Logan from Hawaii again. This is a Vegas Strip report. Rampart Casino by Red Rock has the fire bet. I was on a table and it did hit a 4-point fire bet. The guy was rolling good, and once again, somebody's not paying attention, putting a late bet out, and the dice hit the person's hand, and 7-0. Also, I've seen somebody play a field system where they put $10 on the field. The number was 9. They pressed it to 20. Next row came out was a 11. They pressed it to 40. Next row came out was a 2, which is double. They paid 80. And when it hit 100, they left 100 on the field. The pit boss said, "What is this? Get a field day?" Because it was all 2s, 3s, 11s, 9s. 11 or 12 field numbers in a row, and that person was getting paid, I believe, the last 4 or 5 rows and $100 already. I think the pit boss was kind of upset that person pressed a $10 bet up to 100 and then getting paid $100 after that. But Orleans has a replay bet. Also at the Orleans, 4, 6, 8, 10. There's this little box that says place bet, and it's hard ways only. I believe paid 5 to 1, but I noticed they weren't taking a vig on that side bet on those different hardway numbers. So I wanted to know if you guys had some kind of information on why that one, there's no VIG, but the regular place bet is a VIG on it.
All right, let's stop the call there just to talk about these bets. So, yes, at Orleans, they have these hard way place bets where, for example, if you bet on the hard 4, you'll win if a hard 4 comes up, but the only way you'll lose is if a 7 comes up. If easy 4 comes up, you don't lose.
Doesn't affect it.
Right. It pays 5-1. All the hard ways pay 5-1 because there's one way to roll it, even if it's a hard 6, hard 8, whatever, and 6 ways to lose on a 7, right? 5-1. Yeah, I bet you'd like this bet, actually, Mike, because
you think so? I
think so, right? Because then you're not having to replace them if it comes up easy, right? You're getting paid on your place bet. It's easy.
Instead of just making a hard way bet, you're saying.
Instead of the hard ways. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking is, just place the hard 4 or the hard 6, right? And then it comes up easy. You don't have to replace it. It just stays out there. You still get paid on the place bet that you probably have on a 6.
Right. You'd have to put more out there initially.
Well, yeah, it doesn't pay as much, but still 5-1 versus 7-1, on a 4 or 10.
Right. It's the 6 and 8 I'd be mad at.
I think you'd like this bet. That's all I'm saying. It does have a huge house edge, like 14%. So you might not like that. But let's get to Logan's question. So when it comes to place bets, the house edge is built into the bet. So, if it's a 6, it pays 7-6. Well, those aren't true odds. So,
6-5
the house edge is there. Odd. Now, the way a buy bet works is the casino will pay you the precise odds of rolling a number before a 7, but they charge you a 5% commission or VIG for that. Now, what Logan was seeing was a player who had a buy bet on the 10, not a place bet, but a buy bet on the 10, and a place bet on that hard 10 bet.
Okay. Two different bets,
right. So the VIG is only paid on buy bets. So when a hard 10 was rolled, the player had to pay the VIG to get paid on the buy bet on the 10, but he didn't have to pay the VIG on the place bet on the hard 10 because you don't pay VIG on a place bet, right? Again, it's built into the bet.
Yeah.
So.
Also at the Orleans, on the come-out roll, I put CNE for 5 each, hit it for 11, second roll, number 2, third roll, number 2, fourth roll, number 3. So me and this other guy were getting paid, everyone else was losing, and they're kind of upset at me. And I've also followed Mark, who I also chart the numbers. On that one roll, I had 37 rolls. I also note when there's a stick change, I also am a dice setter, so when a stick change happens, I also change my set from a 5-3 to a 4-1, depending on what I'm feeling at the time. I also, when I'm charting the numbers, I also write when there's a late buy-in the middle of the roll. I want to know if Mark also does those, marking late buy-ins or stick changes, and seeing if a 7 comes out when those things happen, I should say. Maybe it's anecdotal on my part, but I want to know if Mark had a view on that. Thank you.
Yeah, so just to be clear, when I have written down numbers in the past, it's just been for curiosity, just for something to do, to look at the rolls afterwards, but I'm not looking for patterns because there are no patterns.
I've turned my headphones off. I'm not listening to any of this nonsense.
Right. So I'm just doing it more for curiosity. I don't keep track of how often a 7 comes up when the dice go off the table because
every time. You already know it every time.
I already know it's 1 out of 6. When people buy in, how often does a 7 come up?
Every
it's
time.
1 out of 6.
Every time.
Mike is saying this because my new thing, of course, is to call my bets off when these things do happen. It's like, Mark, what are you talking about? You don't believe in it? You're superstitious. Well, I like to pretend that I'm superstitious, and that's what I'm doing. And poor Mike's sitting at the table. Yeah, my bets are off. And then 7 comes up, and
every time
I get my bets back, and Mike is just fuming.
It happens every time. And I'm still never going to turn mine off because I don't believe it.
I know. Well, it's funny because you have turned them off a few times recently. We've gone out there. A 7 has never come up when you've turned
them off. Never when I turn them off. I never get to save any money.
So there you go.
I think there's a big button they push, honestly. Because, Mike got his bet off. Let's roll an 8. His bets are still off. How about a 6? Oh, his bets are on? Okay, 7 out.
You're probably right. that's so sophisticated out here at Harris with the dice and the cards.
Yeah, with the cards. They've got something going on.
They do have something.
Foot pedals.
You know what?
Buttons,
It probably is when they see that I've turned the bets off and that you haven't. They've got a separate stack of cards.
Yeah, right.
All the reds are a 6 and all the greens are a 1, so that no matter what, it'll be a 7.
Right.
So that's what they do.
That's what they do. That's probably
finally
it.
That makes sense.
That's probably it. I can kind of tell that was happening because how they were getting that filling or whatever. What did he say?
Depending on his feeling, changing the dice.
Yeah. I get a big filling in the rear end.
All right,
every time that happens.
I'll tell him next time I turn my bets off. I say, don't use the special cards. Just do a regular for Mike's sake. All right, next call.
Mike, Mark, the podcast is Valley Center Rob, near your playground. You're here next to Harris. Just wanted to say thank you to Dr. Mike, Appalachian State, Arizona State. Love your picks. Been feeding you every week. Keep them coming, boss. Keep up the good work, guys. Bye.
I think he's being sarcastic, Dr. Mike.
I don't know.
Your picks have been a little rough. You can't blame yourself, though, for picking Minnesota. Everybody picked Minnesota for the survivor pool.
Right.
And you won one game in your college this last week, didn't you?
I won the important one, too.
The important one. Okay. Yeah. I think Rob's just, he's fading your...
Yeah, it's okay. It's all right. I'm used to it.
Okay. All right.
I can take more up the from...
All right. Next up is Josh.
Hey, Mike and Dr. Mark. This is Josh from Austin. Quick trip report. Just got back from Vegas a week ago, and I wanted to say that we had gone to the SLS. I've heard you all talk about it a lot. And I just wasn't impressed. I walked in there and it felt like somebody had hollowed out a warehouse and put some nice carpet and tables in there, and there was very little action going on, and it just seemed like an abandoned warehouse. It was something off of just a bizarre TV show. So not a fan, but I did go to this Flamingo, and while I was waiting for some friends while they were gambling, I was sitting at a slot machine and just happened to put $10 in, and I don't play slot machines at all, and I kept hitting max bet. All of a sudden, the thing goes crazy, and everyone's looking at me, and the thing paid out $965. So that was a win for me.
Nice.
Overall, it was a great trip, and I can't wait to go back. Thanks.
I think Josh has figured out SLS.
How's that?
How they did it. How they made that casino. It's just a warehouse. They slapped some carpet down and threw some paint on
That's how it did.
Put up a pig wheel and opened the door.
We haven't been to SLS in like 4 years.
Yeah,
I was looking at the last time
after they opened.
It was
right?
it was It was shortly after they opened. Now, I actually do kind of like a warehousey open thing, but if there are no people in there, then it's really depressing. There's no question. It's like, where is everybody? I kind of liked it. But we actually stayed there. I would never stay there again.
No, the room was terrible. Very small.
That was a lot of it.
The old rooms.
They're the old Sahara rooms.
Why didn't they combine rooms?
Well, who knows? Load bearing walls. I don't know.
Load bearing walls. So, it's the SLS.
That's right. Well, they're going through some changes there, so maybe they'll change the rooms.
Okay.
But SLS location. That's another problem too, right? You don't just walk over to SLS.
Yeah, there's a reason that Sahara went out.
Yeah, I mean, that is a reason too. Well, it was kind of on its way out, just getting run down. But that's true. Really isn't close to anything else.
It's in a bad spot.
Yeah. All right, you know who we haven't heard from in a while?
Ian?
Yes.
All right.
Let's hear.
Hi, Mark and Dr. Mike. It's Ian Dunk from Leicester in England. Just thought I'd give you a little bit of an update on a local casino. It was in Bournemouth, or Bournemouth as you might like to call it, down on the south coast of England. And it was craps. They've introduced a craps table to try and get English, British people to play, but it was 1/3 of the size. It was tiny. Just 5 people could crowd round this really small table, and you can imagine throwing the dice. It wasn't a particularly long distance. Just one dealer with the stick. The dice weren't even hitting the back wall on many of the throws, so you can imagine that was causing me a little bit of a laugh to see that happening. But of course, none of us, other than me and my wife Lara, who play the game, really knew what they were doing. There was no odds allowed. There was no don't. There was a pass line, but of course you couldn't do the odds on that. There was a field bet. There were the place bets, which appeared to be the same odds. But interestingly, the hard ways, the 4 and 10, it was clearly marked on the felt, was paying out 7.5 to 1, and the 6 and 8 was paying out 9.5 to 1. So it was quite enjoyable. It'd be great if we could get craps really mainstream in this country, but I just can't see it. But I suppose it was an introduction to the game, if nothing else, and at least the local casino there was trying. It was a bit of fun, not quite the Vegas experience. But of course on roulette, it's the single zero experience here in the UK, so that was better value. Anyway, just thought you might be interested. Catch up with you soon.
Good. Thanks, Ian. Yeah.
Ian probably doesn't realize that that Bournemouth Casino had called you and asked about odds.
Oh,
and you told them the truth. That they really don't matter.
It really doesn't matter.
Yeah. So why put it on there?
Yeah.
We're playing in a little boat, and we don't have room for it. And you're like, well, it won't matter.
That's
in the
right.
long
You
run.
know
It
what,
just won't matter.
Mr. Bournemouth, just don't even offer odds. I'd forgotten I asked. But you know what? He was talking about how the dice weren't even getting to the end of the table. I just imagine these people rolling it like you'd roll Monopoly dice, right? Like just right in the middle there. Yeah. It's right. Oh, 7 out.
Boxcars.
Yeah, the payouts on the hard way, 7.5 to 1 and 9.5 to 1. That actually is pretty consistent within the few craps tables in the UK. In fact, Lola's at the Hippodrome. Those are the payouts on the hard way, 7.5 to 1, 9.5 to 1. Which is nice. I wish we had that. Nice. I think they may have it at some of the tables in Australia too, or 7.5 to 1, 9.5 to 1. So yeah, that is something that certainly for you, Dr. Mike, since you're a hard way player, I'll try to petition for that.
This might be my new favorite name, Bournemouth, because I think of the Bourne identity. As soon as I saw that, I thought of the Bourne identity.
All right, it's Bournemouth. All right.
It's Bournemouth.
Okay,
but it's spelled mouth.
I know. Even Americans should say Bournemouth. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So you still have the Bourne there. Go on.
I'm going to say Bournemouth anyway.
Okay, good. Is that the new Muckleshoot?
I'm an ugly American.
Is that the new Muckleshoot?
Yes,
Bournemouth.
Bournemouth. Bournemouth. What did you say?
What did you say? You're expelled.
It sounds like trench mouth.
No, it really doesn't. It's got the word mouth in it, and that's about it. I would not hear trench mouth or Bournemouth and get them confused.
Oh, I think you would.
All right, let's hear from Cousin Vito.
Hey, Mark, Dr. Mike, Cousin Vito here on the East Coast. I'm actually calling you because I have a question about Las Vegas. I'm heading out to Las Vegas in a couple weeks, and normally I go do my regular thing, play some craps, head downtown. But I'm going on a different type of trip this time. I'm meeting my wife's grandparents out there, so they're in their 80s. We're staying at the Mandalay Bay, and I don't have a lot of experience South Strip, so I was just calling to see if at the top of your head you guys had any good things maybe I could do with the grandparents. I mean, I don't envision myself strapping the grandma to Slotzilla and sending her down over Fremont Street or anything like that, but, the grandfather is going to walk around and play some craps, but I'm looking for something maybe for the grandmother. I don't know if you guys have any tips. I know Dr. Mike's dad has the scooter sometimes. Maybe they have something common. So I was just calling, seeing if you could give me some direction before I head out. So thank you very much, and good luck on the craps table.
What do you say, Dr. Mike? 80-year-old grandmother, South Strip. What are you thinking?
Well, as far as a scooter goes, if there's mobility issues, definitely get a scooter.
Yeah,
because those South Strip casinos are huge.
Yeah, they are. They seem like they're close together, but they're a ways to go.
They're a ways apart.
Yeah.
So
there is a tram, but still, I agree. Yeah,
I'd get a scooter.
Just to get to the tram, for sure.
Definitely get the scooter. It's worth the money.
Yes.
Gosh, what else down there? They're staying at...
they're staying at Mandalay Bay. I was thinking maybe Excalibur, that Tournament of Kings show, that's kind of like medieval times. I don't know if we went years ago, and I think we were in like the Dark Knight section, right? The Black Knights. That was kind of fun being the villain.
Right.
But,
I don't know if that's an old person thing.
I don't know. There's that.
You eat with your hands.
Oh, yeah, that's another thing, too. Maybe.
I don't know if an old person, maybe they're used to eating with their hands.
That's right. What's the difference? No, but what about, there's that mall, that Showcase Mall that's kind of next to MGM. It's got the M&M's World.
M&M's World,
other things.
Yeah, that's kind of fun to go
something
through
like
for
that, or
a lady.
Yeah.
Yeah, go over to Excalibur and eat at that Lots of Pasta.
I don't think they have that anymore.
They don't?
Lancelot of Pasta. Yeah,
Lancelot
I think
of Pasta.
they may have
that
changed
was good.
That. Yeah,
I like that place.
You know what you might want to do? This isn't South Strip, but we're hearing fantastic things about the Bellagio Conservatory.
Yes.
For fall. Apparently, it's always nice, but we're hearing that the current decorations are just really terrific.
My mom and dad love that.
Yeah.
Every time we're there, we go into Bellagio and go in there and see that. Yeah, she'll love that.
Yeah. That's a definite.
That's a definite. Yeah.
Yeah. And, of course, good luck, Vito, on your trip.
Yeah.
Hopefully you have some good luck there along the way.
Yeah, maybe you won't even have to worry. Maybe you won't be able to pull your grandma-in-law off the craps table.
Yeah. Oh, no, there you go. Yeah, get her to roll the dice.
Yeah, get her to roll the dice. She'll have one huge hot roll first time, and she'll just be stuck.
That'd be fantastic.
You'll be stuck playing craps the whole time.
Stuck. All right, let's find out how Tyler and Tim did.
Hey, guys, it's Tim and Tyler again. We just got done playing our very first craps session, and what a roller coaster of a ride it was. Ending the session down, but definitely a learning experience. Tim hit 4 numbers to the fire bet. He was up on his 5th.
Nice.
A lot of money on there. That was actually probably our saving grace of almost getting back to even. But like Dr. Mike says, just keep playing.
Yeah.
But
made the table a lot of money though. That was nice.
It was great. Everything to be expected. It was pretty chaotic, but definitely learned a lot. And we were just thinking to ourselves when we were up on that 5th number for the fire bet,
we're moving to Iowa.
Moving to Iowa. Nobody thinks that.
But yeah, still won 4 numbers. All right, love to hear from you guys.
All right, well, very good. Sounds like they had a good time, and now there apologies to anyone listening in Iowa. Mike just blurts things out like that, and then I have to, apologize. It's
seriously, you want to move to Iowa?
Well, no, of course not, Mike. All right, let's move on to our gambling scene. Remember, on our last episode, we played a clip from Lost in America, and we promised to play a follow-up clip this episode. So once again, Albert Brooks and Julie Haggerty play a couple, David and Nancy, who have dropped out of society to live a life on the road in their big RV. And they had around $100,000 that David called their nest egg that was going to allow them to live without having to work. They were just going to camp and, live out of the RV. Well, one of their first stops on their journey was Las Vegas. And Nancy ended up losing their entire nest egg at the roulette table at the Desert Inn. That's the clip we heard last episode. So David, who is a former advertising executive, goes to see the casino manager with a plan to get their money back. The casino manager is played by iconic producer-director Gary Marshall, responsible for Happy Days on TV and The Odd Couple, and he directed Pretty Woman and
Laverne and Shirley.
Of course, Laverne and Shirley. And I just love how straight he plays this character as the casino manager. Just very realistic. So it's a bit of a long clip, but here's Albert Brooks as David going to the casino manager's office and trying to convince him to return their money.
As the boldest experiment in advertising history, you give us our money back.
I beg your pardon?
Give us our money back. Think of the publicity. The Hilton Hotels has these billboards all over Los Angeles where the winners of these slot machine jackpots, their faces are all over L.A., and I know that works. I've seen people at corners look up and say, maybe I'll go to the Hilton. Well, you give us our money back. I don't even know now because I'm just coming off the top of my head, but a visual where if we had a billboard and the Desert Inn handed us our nest egg back, this gives the Desert Inn, really, Vegas is not associated with feeling.
Well, first of all, those people on those signs, they won. You lost.
But that's it. That's the campaign.
What's the campaign?
You gave my wife and I our money back because you reviewed our situation and you realized that we dropped out of society and we weren't just gamblers and we made a mistake and you gave our money back. Do you know you couldn't get a room in this place for 10 years?
Then everybody will want their money back. All the gamblers will say, hey, go to the Desert Inn and get our money back.
Not gamblers. You keep all the money. It's just that my wife and I aren't gamblers. That's what I'm saying. That's the distinction. My wife and I represent the few people, and I'll tell you something, there's probably nobody else that's ever going to come and have this happen. So really probably we're the only two. We represent the people who have taken the chance. And we made a mistake, and then the Desert Inn corrects it and gives it back. There is a warm feeling here.
But you don't think everybody then will want their money back?
No. In the campaign, you make a clear distinction between the bold, who would be my wife and I, and then all the other who come here to see Wayne Newton.
I like Wayne Newton.
I said Wayne Newton?
What were you talking about? I heard you say see Wayne Newton. I like him. That makes me a
Oh, no. I'm stupid to use an entertainer as a dividing point. I just meant all the people that come here carefree on their way to see a show, and my wife and I, who, if you knew us, believe me, you would believe me.
You're bold.
Yes. So what do you think?
I don't think the sign's going to work and giving by...
The sign is wrong. A jingle. A television campaign. The Desert Inn has heart. The Desert Inn has heart. The Desert Inn has heart.
It's enough. The casino is our main means of income. Not the coffee shop, not the show. The casino, that's what pays all our bills. So if we give everybody their money back, we can't pay our bills. I'm sorry, we can't change our policy.
Okay, play a fun word game with me. This will do it. What do you think of when you think of a hunting lodge?
Hunt.
Yes. What do you think of when you think of a rest home?
You rest.
So, you see, we're going to associate the Desert Inn with something beautiful. You don't think of anything here now, do you?
Gambling. That's why people come here.
That's
they
right.
Gamble. They want to go to hunting lodge, they go to Wisconsin. They want to rest, they go to New Orleans. They want to gamble, they come to Vegas. That's what it's called, gambling, Las Vegas gambling. You see signs around this town with guys with guns shooting ducks. It's a gambling place. They don't shoot ducks, raccoons, beavers. They come to gamble. That's what we do here. Now, you're a nice guy. You make me laugh and everything. But our policy is we can't give your money back. I'm real sorry. Say goodbye to your wife. I got to go home.
What about Miracle on 34th Street?
It's a Christmas movie.
Yes, it was. Now, there was Gimbals, who was afraid that if they gave something up, that they would lose. And they wound up benefiting. He was afraid that if he gave to Macy's, he would lose his business, and he didn't. It's the same situation. This costs you nothing. To give us our money back is nothing. You would be the one who would benefit.
Wrong. In that movie, Santa Claus took care of everything. There was Macy's, Gimbals, but Santa Claus came, and he fixed the whole thing. We don't have Santa Claus.
Then we get him.
Who?
Santa Claus. We get him. That's the ad campaign. There it goes. I have the chills. We get Santa Claus. He's the one on the billboard. He hands us our nest egg. We associate for the first time ever Christmas and Las Vegas. Las Vegas, a Christmas place to be.
We're finished talking.
I know it's a long scene, but I love that scene, right? Where he's trying to convince him. And Gary Marshall's character is just, obviously he's not going to budge. Right? Why would he? Right? But he's getting a kick out of listening to this guy up to a point.
It's funny. Gary Marshall was a good actor.
I know. In roles like that.
As talented as he was as a producer, director, and everything, he really is a good actor.
In a role like that. I had not seen him in anything when I originally saw that movie. And I thought, geez, did they really get a casino manager to come in and do that part? Yeah. Yeah. So there you go. And once again, thanks to Paul for the suggestion on that movie. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. We want to thank some people for some PayPal donations. First of all, Brian Dancer for his recurring donation. Thanks very much. Also, Brian and Sarah for their recurring donation. Also, thanks to Brett for his karma donation. He says, it's for a trip this weekend with my parents for my mom's 58th birthday. Last time it worked for my first ever hand pay. Ooh, so maybe these karma donations, they work for some people.
Maybe, I guess.
Thanks for the great work. Love the podcast. Hey, be sure to check out our TV listing showing all the gambling-related shows coming up within the next 2 weeks. We update those listings every Wednesday using a customized program that searches through all the raw American TV data. Just go to youcanbetonthat.com/TV-listings. We'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS. Or you can email us at youcanbetonThat@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at YouCanBetOnThat and on Facebook at Facebook.com/YouCanBetOnThat. Finally, please go to your favorite podcast app and write a review on us. We love getting your feedback. What do you got for us here at the end of the episode, Mike?
Well, I was going to give you my football picks, but now I don't know if I should even do that.
It's Rob's listening.
I'm going with Texas to beat Kansas State, giving away like 8 points or something.
And that's your best bet? Or your conference?
That's probably going to be my conference bet. My best bet is probably going to be University of Alabama, Birmingham.
Okay.
UAB to beat North Carolina, Charlotte.
Okay. So again, this pool that you're in, you have to make a conference bet, and it's a different conference each week.
Right.
The one who runs the pool decides. You have to have a best bet. You said that. And the third one, you have to pick an underdog, at least 7-point underdog, to actually win the game, not just cover, but to win the game. So who's your underdog this time?
I haven't decided 100% on that yet,
okay,
but I'm leaning towards Army to beat Buffalo.
Okay, all right.
Oh, another game to watch might be that Hawaii-San Jose State game.
Okay.
Because I think Hawaii's only given away 10 points, and San Jose State is not very good.
Okay.
So that could be a win. There's also Boise State, Wyoming, and Boise's giving away like 17 points. But once again, Wyoming's not very good. So
okay. All right.
Those are two games I've kind of marked.
Once you actually make your picks officially, I will tweet them, and then everyone in the Twitterverse can decide what they want to do with that information.
That'll be tomorrow morning, probably.
All right. Very good. So about the same time as I post this episode.
Yep.
All right. Very good. All right. Thanks for listening.
Good night.
Mark, that was wonderful. I had no idea you were so talented. The audience is going to love you.